Hi everyone, I'm back with a Kings of War 3rd edition battle report. My first 3rd edition battle report is 2000 points, Basilea versus Undead, and this is part of our local tournament.
Hello there! I like to watch battle reports to get better at games. So I started making short, summarized battle reports that focus on learning points. So welcome to my channel, Newbie Dice. Do like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon if you enjoy my videos.
Our local tournament, it was held on 18th of January, and it's 2000 points, 3 games. There were players signed up, and it's held at a new local game store called Hammer House, and we're located in Singapore. So for those who don't know, Singapore is a tiny country in Asia, Southeast Asia. So if you are in the Asia region, do consider dropping by our beautiful country, alright? So I managed to finish painting my full Mantic army, Basilian army, and their preferred model count, all except for the cavalry over here, because I already done them long ago and they are in this perfect arrowhead formation, so I didn't want to mess it up. But the toughest part was the Paladin Foot Guard, because 3 regiments, 15 models each, that's 45 in total, and it's pretty much a slog to get through. And for the two-handed paladins, which is over here, alright, they are pretty easy to rank up because their pose are quite static. But for the other guys that I mix the Vanguard models in, even some man-at-arm bodies, and I do the arm swaps and the shields attached to them, their poses are pretty dynamic, and I find myself having quite a lot of difficulty squeezing 15 on the base. And I like to keep the front a little bit clear so nothing sticks out from the front of the unit, so that when you charge into the opponent, there isn't this problem of the weapons and the arms hitting each other. Okay, so this is the army. Please allow me to indulge myself and show you a little bit more pictures of my army. Picture of the knights, and this is my paladin defenders, denoted by the banner in the middle. And I really like the pose of this guy. I think it looks really cool, the way that everything come together and how it's posed at the end. And for the Elohai, I did some head swaps. I put in the Vanguard models' heads. If you notice, some of the heads are a little bit big in the scale, like this one, the Man-at-Arms Sergeant, the one without the helmet. The head is a little bit bigger than the rest of the heads, so I thought it would fit the Basilian Elohai heads better because they're supposed to be large infantry. In fact, this head is bigger than the Elohai's default head, this one. Okay, and this is the Man-at-Arms Sergeant's helmet, which is also bigger in scale, and this Defender helmet as well is bigger in scale. So this is a picture of my opponent's army. My opponent is a veteran 40k player, and he plays Kings of War, but the last time he actually played was 2 years ago, where we also fought in a local tournament, and I met him in the finals, and I managed to win by the last die roll, and I came in first while he came in second. And this time, 2 years later, he's my first round opponent, and it's like grudge match, right? So, and his Mantic army is painted in a monochrome style because he wanted to churn it out really fast. He plays a bunch of other game systems, Malifaux, 40k, and so with the new edition coming in, he kind of come back into the game, and he has only had, I think, 1 or 2 games just before this tournament in 2 years. So there's a little bit more of his army close up. There's a picture of his army fighting another player, and these are our lists. So for myself, I started with a Paladin Knights regiment with Brew of Sharpness because it's cheaper on regiments, and with the 5 point remaining goes into an Aegis Fragment. Okay, 3 regiments of Foot Guard, Paladin Foot Guard. So one of them has 2-handed weapons, one of them is the vanilla Defense 5, and one of it is Defense 5 with Defender. Okay, because in my list they are meant to take the hit, so that's why I have 2 units at Defense 5, while the last unit at Defense 4 to counter punch with the crushing one, right? So behind that I have 2 hordes of Ogre Palace Guard. I find that 15-17 they waver pretty easily. Somehow they do not have Headstrong as well, so I equipped one with Fury and the other one with Headstrong. I have 3 Elo High regiments. They are my flying flankers, and they project a great distance of threat range, and they try to catch people on the flank. And they are kind of more expensive Chef, which they are quite hardy as well at defense 5-14 nerf with Iron Resolve. And they inspire themselves, that's pretty useful as well. So next I have a Vanilla Priest. What I find is whenever my Elo Hive keeps flying out, my inspiring sources are all in the Elo Hive, and finally just that priest who stays within the foot soldiers to give that inspiring bubble. And it has heal and cleanse might come in useful, although it didn't come in this game. So next, I have a wizard with lightning bolt instead of fireball, and I give him Bane Chant, so most armies would want a Bane Chant. And I have a Conjurer's Staff so that my Bane Chant is a little bit more reliable, and my Lightning Bolt 4 becomes Lightning Bolt 5, which is just a little bit more damage. Just this is my only shooting in the game, so my role for his Lightning Bolt is probably a early game shooting at the chaff, and maybe late game if there's something heavily wounded that's running away, I'll try to shoot it down with Lightning Bolt. Lastly, I have an Abbess on Panther with a Staying Stone. The Abbess nerf is only 12-14 and she doesn't have Headstrong, so that 5 points into the Staying Stone giving her 13-14 is pretty useful. She's only defense 4, and if she doesn't waver, she heals a point through Iron Resolve, so I feel that the Staying Stone is pretty useful. The Abbess is speed 10 and height 3, which I find is what she fulfills is my role as a War Machine Hunter. And if there's no war engines in the opponent's list, it will go around try to disrupt people or catch flyers that comes into my back rank, because she has 6 attacks and crushing 1 and vicious, so she's very likely to wound the opponent. Alright, so this is my opponent's list. There's pretty much 2 of everything, 2 sets of Revenants, Hordes, 2 Wraiths, Wraith Troops. Wraith Troops are their defense 6, flying nimble, but they have dropped to speed 7. Death Pack as a chaff, 2 Zombie Troll Hordes to support the infantry, 3 Balefire Catapults to deal damage, and these 4 heroes. So Lich King with Blizzard, Necromancer with Inspiring Talisman and Bane Chant 2, another Necromancer with Bane Chant 2 and Conjurer's Staff, and a Revenant King on Undead Horse with Surge, Boom and Boomstick. So these are our statistics in total. He has more drops than me, because other than the heroes being on the expensive side, everything else is pretty cheap and taken vanilla without items. Okay, but in terms of unit strength, I find my Basilian list have a lot of unit strength because there's a lot of regiments. All the knights and the foot guards are all regiments. They're all unit strength 3. The Ogre Horde unit strength 3. The Elo High are unit strength 2, which is amazing. Okay, so moving on. The first scenario, we rolled, the tournament organizer rolled for scenario at the start of every round, so we don't know what are the scenarios in advance going in. Okay, so the first one is Plunder. So the first thing I would like to let people know about Plunder is that the tokens are in a very fixed position. There's no choice of where to put the tokens at all, because it says 5 tokens on the center line and 12 inch away from each other, and it is exactly like this because there's only 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pockets of 12 inches, and that's exactly where all the 5 tokens are placed. They're placed equal spacing. It's only if there's any obstructions within the center line that it will be shifted accordingly. Okay, so I think after we chose sides, we get to choose which tokens become 2 points. So I chose this one over here because he will have rough terrain, difficult terrain trying to get to this token, while I have the heal to do a downward charge. So I chose this one, and his army, I think he usually deploys very centrally, so he decides to have the center token worth 2 points. So for the terrain heights, you can see that the heals are 3, the obstructions and the forests are 6, and the water features are flat. Okay, obstacles are 2 as usual. So let's talk about our deployment. So one of the first thing I do when I deploy, my usual style of deployment is that I'll have my 3 regiments of Elohai spread out. So if you look at here, I have one on the left, one in the middle, and one on the right. That way, I kind of project that 20-inch threat range equally across the board. So it's something like this, and this center unit threatens here and threatens here. So this kind of protects my foot soldiers from being charged, sort of, because I have the Elohai that could stop people from coming forward too aggressively. Okay, so usually my 3 foot guard will be somewhat centralized as well, so you can see them over here, and the defenders are in the middle. As of course, as the battle grinds out, you might find that your units of foot guard will start to spread out and charge things. So it's very important that the defender is in the center to most likely be able to give that elite 6-inch elite aura to the other 2 units. I have this unit of ogres with the headstrong on the left. On hindsight, it should be on the other side because of the opponent's catapult being there. One has headstrong and one has fury, so you want to put the fury ones in a place where they're most likely to be wavered from combat, while the headstrong one is deployed somewhere where it's more likely to be wavered from shooting. Okay, so that's the general idea. The knights are on this right flank. He has nothing on the left flank, so I already have a dominance with this Elohai on the left. So the knight is on the right to try to grind it out, and I'm speed 8. I am faster than his wraiths at speed 7. So he deploy everything. The foot soldiers are pretty symmetrical, somewhat down the middle. That he has a death pack in front, and the revenants in the middle, and the zombie trolls behind. And they deploy them pretty much along centrally to each other, which might cause some issues, which I will describe near the end of the game. And of course, the wraith is here on the side to catch flanks, and more importantly, to protect his catapults as well. So we rolled, and I think I won the roll off, and I decided to go first. Obviously, because if he goes first, his catapults will shoot at my stuff before they get to combat. So I want to move up earlier to close the gap, because I do not have. He has the superior shooting, so I want to close the gap really fast, and I have a higher speed, so I could threaten him and push him off away from the center line as well. And if I'm not wrong, this map pack is the Australian Blackjack map pack, which specifically specifies the heals in this particular map to be height 2. So let me just correct that. Height 2 heals. Right? Only this particular map in that Australian Blackjack map pack. Alright, so next. I moved up pretty aggressively. So one of the things that I did was to have this run 20 up here behind the building, so that it will not be seen and charged by these wraiths, because I want to go roundabout to catch the catapults. Okay, so that's the plan for my abbas. Everything else kind of shuffled up. These 2 units of foot guard without the obstacle blocking, it could march 10, and then the ogres shift up between them, and they're in a checkerboard formation, so that I can countercharge anything that hits one of this any of these paladins. Okay, the Elohai moves up and touch the hill so they can see over it, and staying out of threat range, out of 12-inch. I think the death pack threats 12, so the tokens are the center line, right? So just off the center line. These 2 units that has to cross this obstacle had to move, have to just walk 5 and 6 accordingly. And this ogre's pretty sad, because it's either I touch the water or the obstacle, so I decided to move past the obstacle, because after that I will have unhindered charges. And this Elohai came up and tilt a little bit to threaten the flank. And this Elo High on the right side, stayed out of 14 of the Wraiths. So you can see that the central token is 12 inches away, and then this is about slightly more than 2 inches more. Okay, so I think I started off with only one spell, a lightning bolt through this gap at the death pack, which I think did nothing. So what happened next? His army shuffled up as well, and a few things to take note. There's a gap here between, there's quite a huge gap for this front unit of the death pack. This unit stays further back because it doesn't want to be within 12 inch of the ogres over here. Okay, but this one went a little bit more aggressive. This zombie trolls tilted a little bit to face the Elo High. I think they're out of charge range, but a thing to take note that I've drawn here is that if my Elo High charged the flank of this Revenants, and the zombie trolls will be in my front, so he could have pushed it a little bit more so that it's in the flank. So this is something to take note of. And I guess his Revenants, as it advanced, it could have tilted a little bit more to face my my Elo High so that it wouldn't be a flank. Yeah, so something like this way instead. But that might expose the flank here as well, so there's a few things to consider. Okay, what else? The Wraiths kind of just repositioned to get ready for things to be happening, right? And the catapults, all three, unloaded into my knights over here. So let me switch to the pointer. So it unloaded into my knights, and it just did pretty well. It dealt 7 wounds, and he didn't waver me, so I kind of healed back to 6. So I kind of drew this wound marking for all the pictures that, because of Iron Resolve, the end of the turn picture would have healed 1 already. So turn 2, I'll go from left to right. So as expected, my Elo High saw a nice flank. I'm gonna take it. I'm not gonna kill it, but I'm gonna do enough damage such that a second hit from my ogres would kill it, which my second ogres came up to position to charge it next round. Okay, my wizard also came up to do a Bane chant with 2 dice and reroll 1, which is effectively 3 dice, but I failed it. Now I would have dealt more to the Wraiths. The Elo High down the center, because the rats stayed out of the threat range of the ogres, right? And of course the paladins. So the Elo High down the center where it was on touching the hill, it charged into the death pack, and it didn't deal enough to kill it, so it actually just wavered it. So another thing to take note, because my knights took so much damage from the catapults, I felt that if I were to hang back again, it will just die. So I decided to get some action in before it dies. So what happened was the knights charged in, because the death pack was smaller frontage than the revenants. So the knights charged in and clipped the side. It's a multi-charge with the Elo High, which could fly over the death pack to just hit the revenants. Okay, the other unit of death pack got just wiped out by this unit of paladins. Alright, the priest healed the knights a little bit, down to 3. What else? So this unit moved up and picked up the token, one of the 2-point tokens, and this unit moved up to pick up the other 2-point token, standing on the hill to get ready to charge off to get that crushing one, thunderous one rather. So I dealt 12 damage to this Wraith Horde. No, sorry, it's a Revenant Horde. So I dealt 12 damage over here because this is a hindered charge. But I was also charging off the hill, so there's still crushing too. It's 12 damage, but did not pop, right? So I bracketed out this this portion over here, because the zombie trolls could not countercharge any of this unit because the revenants are blocking the way. So because of the way he positioned the revenants directly behind his his trolls directly behind his revenants, he's not able to maneuver to charge any of the targets. And the revenants are defense 5 with very high nerve. They're most likely to survive the first hit, so it's a waste that he couldn't charge it out. Okay, same for this unit of revenants, because it is a long base horde. It could not turn around to countercharge the elo high, could not charge the things in front as well because the death pack is in the way. It got wavered, so this revenant couldn't do much the next round. And for his zombie trolls, he couldn't just flank charge me directly, but he's an undead army. He has to search to still flank charge me, and that's what he proceeded to do. So let's look at the next picture. So that's what the zombie trolls did. It surged into the flank of the elo high. So because he cast search, he couldn't bane chant with the same hero, but I guess it's more than enough to do the finishing blow. And the rats, because it's wavered, couldn't do anything. The revenants just stood there. And for this part, the revenants countercharged the elo high, dealing 9 damage and not rolling hot, so it didn't pop the elo high and it healed back to 8. So what happened over here was one of the Wraith troops, the one closer, moved up to be surged into the flank. Okay, the other Wraith troop moved back to protect the catapults. So what happened the previous round, which I forgot to mention, was that my Abbas was here beside the building where it was not able to be seen by the Wraiths or the hero on the horse. So what happened is he decided to block the frontage of these two. He could see these two war machines, so he blocked the frontage of the two war machines, so I couldn't charge into these two war machines. So that's what he was doing. It's quite a lot of points sunk into protecting his catapults, but his catapults are doing work. So what happened was his catapults unloaded more damage into the Paladin Knights before the Wraiths surged in. So it took damage from the catapults and a flank charge from the Wraiths. So although the Wraiths were hindered, it was enough damage to take it out. He rolled pretty hot for his catapults for the first 2 rounds. So next, top of 3. What happened over here was, because, let me switch to the pointer, because the death pack was wavered, right? It didn't do any damage to the elo high, so the elo high didn't get disordered. It could fly over all the infantry and hit the zombie trolls in the back, and that's what it did. The paladin foot guard finished off the rats, while the death pack, while this ogres hit the front of the revenants, and because it already took damage from that flank charge earlier, so this unit of ogres was able to finish it off. What happened on the other side? So this central unit just moved up onto the hill to get ready to charge off the hill at this unit, right? Now, over here on the right, the ogres and the paladins over here charged into this Wraith and did not kill it. Okay, one thing, because it's defense 6, this foot guard has no crushing, so it's wounding on 6s, and because of the terrain, I'm hindered, so I'm hitting on 4s. Even these 2 units couldn't take out a troop of Wraiths basically. So with this elo high not dead yet, it just countercharged and dealt more damage to the revenants, and because he's been healing it, it's now at 10, so it's not dead yet. So we'll see what happens, because this elo high saw an opening and charged over here. So what happened for my Abbas? It moved up to the corner and turned around to look at everything on this side, the 3 catapults. Okay, so what happened with the ogres? What my opponent did with the zombie trolls, he decided to charge over here into the paladins because he figured out that, oh, you'll be out of line of sight of my ogres, so my ogres will not be able to kill the zombie trolls. So that's what it did. And for the elo high that's in front of the revenant, it finally goes down. Okay, what the Wraith troop did, it was he countercharged the infantry while the catapults unloaded on the ogres again, and pretty respectable 6 damage, going down to 5 because of Iron Resolve. Okay, so what I did to draw this dotted line over here was that this Ogre Palace Guard was actually in range to charge the zombie trolls. So that's what it did next round. Charge the zombie trolls. Along with the elo high, finished it off. So what happened over here, these 2 units finally took out the Wraith troops. From this position, it looked like the Ogres got a flank charge on the Wraiths. Zombie trolls, I think with 2 charges, still got taken out. And of course, I've been chance support. And what happened up here up top was that he charged the previous round. His Wraith troop charged, sort of moved and surged into my Abbess. Dealt some damage, she did not go down. And with a 1-inch withdraw, because she's height 2, she could see over at this far catapult over here. And with a corkscrew charge, took out the catapult, and now he's facing the back of these guys. So he only has this, basically this Revenant troop, 2 catapults, the heroes, and this Revenant horde and that Brave troop. I keep mixing up these 2. Okay. So he's charged and killed the ogres. And these guys took more damage from catapults. So and I think there's Blizzard as well. One of the heroes has Blizzard. Right, so it's down to 5. The ogres hit the flank, the rear, while the elo high went that way to kind of disrupt over there. These guys try to move forward because if you are too close to the catapults can't shoot you. And so, takeaways. So you have to play aggressively when you have weaker shooting. I was also pretty fortunate that I got the first turn. So you have to push very aggressively, and my army having the speed advantage, I can block him out from the loot tokens completely. He was not able to capture the loot tokens, but I also charged with the units with the loot tokens, so I'm bringing the loot tokens to him as well. So you gotta be careful not to suddenly have your guys carrying the loot tokens die out. So that could be something that the opponent will be playing for. He might be losing on attrition, but if he focuses on the guys with the loot tokens, he might still turn the game around. So plan for when your chef doesn't die, like the Death Pact. When it didn't die, the Revenants just stood there for a turn, while I get another turn of repositioning and everything. And basically the Ogres charged it and it died without combat. So you might want to think of the position. It's a little bit trickier for hordes because they're so long, but this is definitely something to think about. So deploy your second wave to be able to multi-charge. This is talking about the zombie trolls at the back. So this are some diagrams to illustrate it. So imagine this is your horde of anvil and your hammer is behind. If you align it exactly like this, you will not be able to multi-charge, because the front unit will only slide this much and you cannot maneuver to the other side. So what you want to do is to position your hammer on one side or the other. Okay, because this way, and you need to leave some space as well, so that when he slides, there's still some space for you to rotate, pivot, and contact. So this is still within a contacting range. Okay, another thing you might think of is this is the final position. So if you don't do this, if you want to leave less gap because you're afraid of a flying individual coming to disrupt you, then you have to do this, and then this side will be open, so you probably cover it with another unit. So that hence the checkerboard formation is pretty useful, because if you have this like this, right, if this is another of your unit, then these guys wouldn't be charged, and then you can counter charge this unit or this unit, because this front anvil will slide this way, and either way your back unit will be able to fit in. So this is something that the first few games for players, you will be caught by this quite a lot, because intuitively a lot of people would start deploying like this, and then after a while, after a few games, you realize that they keep getting stuck and not able to multi-charge. So the solution is to put it on one side or the other, or checkerboard. So this is not for the people who have played a lot, but those who are new or coming back to Kings of War, this is the first thing that will trip you up quite often. Alright, so that is the first battle report in a long time. So I hope to have this on a weekly schedule. So hope to see you in the next battle report.